Good morning, Daniel Swartz here from Wisconsin. So, when it comes to raising children, it can have a way of humbling you. You got ideas of how you're going to do it if you've planned it, and you have ideas of what kind of parent you're going to be, and if you're lucky, your first child will have a personality that fits the kind of parenting style you want to do, and everything will go well, and you will think you are the smartest person in the world, and you're so wise, and you've just figured this parenting thing out, and it's really not that hard because your kid is amazing and everything goes smooth and they behave well and all this stuff. And if you stopped it right there, you might get pretty arrogant and proud of your parenting style without actually thinking that, hey, maybe, this kid's just got a great personality and there's easygoing, and this kid you can reason with and they seem to catch on, and you don't have to do a whole lot of punishing, and you can just talk with this kid and they listen really well. Makes you really feel like you're doing the right thing, and you can be real gentle because they respond. And then if you decide to have more kids because you're like, wow, this is easy, then depending, you might get lucky and get 2 of them like that. But more than likely, if you keep having kids, you're going to have kids with extremely different personalities, different health issues, different everything. And it's going to humble you real quick because you're going to try what you did on that first child, and you're going to be like, dang, this kid don't hear me. There ain't nothing getting through. You can sit this kid down 50 times and tell them how bad it hurt your feelings the way they acted, and then they're gonna sit there sorrowful with you too, and get right up and do it again. You're gonna realize that you can't blanket parent. You can't parent every child exactly the same. Like, you want to keep your generals the same, but every child has a different personality, and they can be brother and sister, and to everybody else they look exactly alike, but to you inside the family they can have as different a personalities as like they're about opposites, and then your first kid who was so obedient might start clashing with one of the other kids who is not so obedient, and you realize, maybe that first gentle kid's got a pretty stubborn streak too, and you end up, you got to make it all work. You got to make everybody get along. And when I say make, it is make. On a lot of days, it isn't. I want to encourage them to get along, because that doesn't work on a lot of days. On a lot of days, encouraging them to get along is just like pissing in the wind. You got to make them get along. This is what you're going to do. You are going to stop aggravating each other, and you're going to go play together nice, and if it ain't nice, I'm coming over there. And then, you can have your wonderful, some kids it takes more to get their attention. And the thing is that once you got their attention, then the words you speak sink in. Not everybody, not a lot of kids they're not real sensitive to what your feelings are and stuff, and it's just going to go over their head, and they're really not going to care until something makes them care. All of a sudden they have a personal vested interest in what dad is saying, because if they don't pay attention, it might get painful. They're amazing. Each kid is unique. They have their own unique personality, and you need to reach them in a different way. So anybody who's only had a couple kids starts to say this is how you raise kids, just like this, because it worked with mine. I'm not going to pay much attention to that person because they haven't realized yet that, you know, there's other kids out there with different personalities. So when you're raising your own kids and you're looking over at someone else's kids and you think those kids are so much better behaved and this and that, and you're comparing your kids and your parenting style, and you think maybe you gotta, don't do that. Man, most often kids are on their best behavior when they're away from home. Or when people are over, they behave better. And also there's this funny little thing that happens where when you're in your home and your kids are doing some annoying stuff, it's annoying and you want them to knock it off. But when you go in somebody else's house and you see somebody else's kid doing the same kind of stuff, you think it's cute and you laugh at it. That's because you don't have to deal with it. And that's because to you it seems cute and funny, but the parents are like, uh-oh, we can't let this keep going. This is going to escalate into the our house exploding. So don't look at other people's kids and be like, oh, I got, you know, they're doing so amazing. What do they do? I want to, you focus on your kids. Also, don't be like, oh, look how much better my kids are than those kids. My kids are so much better. My parenting style must be so much better than they. Don't do that either. Because you ain't parenting that kid. You don't know what kind of personality that child has. And if you had to parent that child who's misbehaving for somebody else, you might get humbled real quick. You take each kid as it comes and you stay flexible in your parenting styles. And say, for example, I was a big fan of, when I started out, like, I tell them once, I tell them twice. If I have to get up, if I have to speak the third time, I'm gonna get up and go spank somebody. Oh, it worked great for the first few because I almost never had to spank them. You told them once, you told them twice with a slightly raised voice, boy, they listened just like that. And along come the next two, and I can't just tell them once because that's over their head. Tell them twice, that's over their head. And it's not until I do something to get their attention, like raise my voice or go over there and grab a hold of them, like, hey, because they get so hyper. It's like, somebody's speaking, blah, 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 blah. And I realized if I do that with my next two, they're going to be spanked all day, every day. So I had to change what I was doing. And I had to reach them in different ways because gentle speaking is just like, when they're being bad, and when I speak in a gentle voice, it doesn't reach them. They don't hear it, not enough to make them go, oops, I better stop. They're just like, they got to be kind of scared before they stop what they're doing and pay attention. You got to do something that's like, oh, shit, that's dad. Otherwise, they will run the household. And so every child is different. And then you got the kids that are just like, ooh, I see dad spank that kid for that thing. I'm not even going to do it once. You know, you got that kid. And then you got the kid that sees everyone else. It's like everyone else goes through and does this thing and gets in trouble. And that kid will sit there and watch everyone else get a talking to or get a spanking. And they'll just be like, they'll just watch everybody. And then when you're all done, they go and do the exact same thing everyone else does. Because that kid just doesn't learn until they feel the punishment. But, you know, every kid is different. Every single kid. So don't be too proud of your parenting styles if things are going good. And if you haven't parented multiple kids, don't be too proud of how good you're doing, because you just got lucky. You got some kids with a great temperament and they want to be agreeable. And that happens. You have that in every family. You have some agreeable ones, you have disagreeable ones. But don't judge yourself too harsh. Also, if you're feeling pretty proud, don't judge other people and their kids too harsh, because you don't know. You have no idea. You don't know what goes on in the other household. So just take it as it comes. Sit back, It's really not that hard. You know, you got to stay consistent. The biggest mistake I think new parents make is thinking, I'm going to fix this problem with my kid and it's going to stay fixed. You can't fix a child. You can't fix them. You teach. And since they're young, you have to teach repeatedly, repeatedly, and repeatedly, and repeatedly. And then some catch on quicker than others. But it's not like too many people think you're gonna do the one-time punishment and they're never, ever, ever gonna do that thing again. Well, good luck to that. That has never worked for me, ever. If a child has a certain, can't think of a word, but if a child has a certain thing that they generally fall snare to, a certain thing they're not supposed to do, that's like their weakness, then that there is the one thing that they might be really good in other areas, but there's going to be one area where they struggle, and they're going to have to be reminded repeatedly and repeatedly. And you could just accept the fact that some things you're going to have to repeat the reprimand, repeat the punishment, repeat the talking to again and again, because that is that child's weakness. And if you start getting really, really pissed off because this has gone on for years and they still aren't fixed, your child is not a machine. You can't reach in there with a screw or a bolt and just fix the problem. This is how it's going to be. And you, as the teacher, you set the example and you stop the chaos, and you teach and you show by example, and you reprimand when it goes too far. And with some children, I have a feeling they're going to have certain things that they struggle with all the way into adulthood, and the best you're going to do as a parent is to slow it down. And then when they hit adulthood and they can do whatever they want to do, they're going to learn the hard way why this thing is not healthy, but they might just keep repeating it even into adulthood, and that's okay. You did your best to slow it down, get them pointed in a better direction, and you stay consistent. Staying consistent is more important than the one big punishment that's going to fix everything. I really think you know you can way overdo the punishment, like staying consistent. You know, I've trained horses. This is going to run on way longer than I thought. I was going to stop, but whatever. I've trained horses and I've trained dogs. And when I started that as a young man, I thought, okay, this dog does this thing that's really bad. I'm going to whoop the dog so good and so hard that this dog is never, ever, ever going to want to do this bad thing again. And that is how I dealt with punishment, with dogs and with horses. And what I found is it depends on the temperament. Some dogs, it worked. Most of the time, it didn't. When you try to solve the problem with that one punishment, you're going to make that one punishment so bad, your dog or your horse is never going to want to do it again. You create lots of fear. And it don't always make them stop doing what they did before. They just become more fearful. And sometimes they do stop doing the bad thing, but you create a fearful animal who has no confidence to actually go do what you want them to do, especially in dogs. You know, dogs have to go out away from you. You tell them, go get this, go get that, go do that, go bring. And if you have made them really, really fearful, they're not going to be confident to do anything. When you tell them to go do something, they're going to be constantly looking back, come back to you, look back, come back to you. They're not going to have the confidence to go range out and do what they're supposed to do. So you got to reprimand, but not too hard, and you have to do a more constant thing and lots of encouragement. And same with the horse. I have a horse that I've had since I was 18. So I've had him now for 20 years, and he has certain issues, certain behavior things that he was just a rambunctious colt right from the start. He had these behavioral things. And even though I have to reprimand him less now that he's an old man, it's still there. It never goes away. It's part of that horse's personality. And so That's how it is with your children. They're going to have personalities. They're going to have things that they struggle with. And the best thing you can do is to be there to slow down the negative tendencies and teach them how to handle hard things, how to handle these emotions, how to move forward with life. But stop going into your parenting thinking, this is bad behavior that I need to fix. Because your child is not a machine. You can't reach in and adjust a screw and fix them. Y'all have a good day.